That's all coming up a little bit later. But first, the inside story of the Partygate scandal. And a fresh claim that Boris Johnson joked about being at the country's most unsocially distanced party during an illegal lockdown gathering. Now, it cast doubt on the former Prime Minister's assertion, of course, that he had been unaware of any rule-breaking inside Number 10. And it's part of an explosive new podcast by ITV News, lifting the lid on our coverage. With more, here's our UK editor, Paul Brand, who broke many of the scandal's key revelations.
Partygate was never about the cake or the carver. It was about trust and the truth. Boris Johnson said he didn't know rules were being broken at events like this one. Except now we're told that at this very party, he made light of it.
Some music came on and the mumbling sort of rose and there were loads of people stood around. But this time I came out because I heard the Prime Minister speaking, and that's when I heard the quote, "This is the most unsocially distanced party in the UK right now." And everyone was laughing about it.
Mr Johnson!
Boris Johnson hasn't denied that claim from our source.
Was breaking lockdown rules a joke to you, Mr Johnson?
And the new revelations come as he returns to old habits, attracting attention last night at a Conservative dinner.
Why did you joke about being at the most unsocially distant party in the UK?
Slipping inside to unveil a portrait of himself, while accusations continue to paint a different picture of his premiership.
Quite frankly, it adds insult to injury that he couldn't even be clear and honest about the wrongdoing that happened, and he's carried on just thinking he can get away with it. Well, Boris Johnson has fought like that all his life, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He thinks he can get away and bluster and joke his way out of anything. That's not acceptable, and actually it's done great damage to our institutions of government.
This isn't just about settling the past, it's also about Boris Johnson's future. Amid some speculation about whether he could potentially make a return to Number 10, he still has to clear this hurdle of the Privileges Committee, which is looking at whether he misled MPs. So how does his alleged joke about rule-breaking square with his claim that he knew nothing about it? It isn't the first joke we've heard.
It's recorded. His fictional party was a business meeting. And it was not socially distanced.
Evidence like this of rule-breaking led to 126 police fines and a damning civil service inquiry. Yet now, sources say Downing Street staff may have prevented both investigations from uncovering it all.
There was a sense and an implication that we should start deleting evidence before there is an investigation. And a lot of people started shredding things. Any proof of the event started disappearing. There was an aspect of getting rid of evidence, just keeping yourself in the clear before an investigation would happen.
How many of them knew that this was going on?
Salia can't erase her loss. Her dad died with COVID days after one of the Downing Street parties.
In the podcast, it says that, some of the senior ministers were operating like they were in, separate universe to the rest of us. That all now makes sense, because if you have that mindset, that attitude, then of course the way that you're going to govern and lead is going to be wrong and have serious consequences for the rest of us. And that all played out.
Partygate continues to cause pain, not just for those who stuck to the rules, but for those who broke them.
And Paul joins me now. A lot of our viewers, I can almost hear them saying it, "Oh, that's all in the past, it's over. Why is it relevant anymore?"
Because, Mary, we've got this third and final inquiry into Partygate, which is still to take place. This one by the Privileges Committee, which is looking not at the details of the parties, but what Boris Johnson knew about them. Did he mislead MPs when he said that no rules had been broken? I understand the Privileges Committee met this morning. They're still going through reams of evidence that they've requested from Number 10. No timetable yet, but we expect them to start taking oral evidence from witnesses, perhaps as soon as next month. In response to the podcast, Boris Johnson said that he has not lied, he has not misled MPs, he's proud of his record in Number 10. And Downing Street, of course, under new management now, say the Cabinet Office investigation was really thorough and staff complied with it fully, or at least they were told to comply with it fully. But if Boris Johnson is found to have misled MPs, he could be suspended from Parliament, he could face a by-election, he could lose his seat, and any hopes he may harbour of returning to Number 10 would surely be quashed.
Interesting stuff. Paul, thank you.